Alright, what's going on everyone out there on YouTube? NES Ruler, and welcome to a brand new review. And this time around, we'll be checking out a film that was sent to me review by Flicker Alley, and you can pick this up right now on Blu-ray at all your favorite online retailers. It is a film from the year 1927 from my personal favorite film country, France, and that is the silent film Casanova. So, I'm pretty sure this is like the first major adaptation of the Casanova story onto film. I think there was a couple attempts to make a film on Casanova before this film came out, but when this came out in 1927, this was definitely the definitive version of the story. And it's an epic. I mean, it's 160 minutes long, so it's 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And while I feel like that running time is a little bit bloated and it does hurt the film, I don't think it gets boring at all. I still think it's a pretty entertaining and oftentimes funny film. But basically follow Casanova. He's a ladies' man living in Venice. You know, he goes around, he's having affairs with all the ladies in Venice. And one day he gets accused of being a sorcerer and being practicing in black magic with this giant book that he has. So he basically gets outcasted from Venice, but he promises to return one day because his love, his forever love, is still living there. So the rest of the film is Casanova's journey to get back to Venice, and it leads him to some interesting places. It leads him to St. Petersburg in Russia, and it leads him to, little towns and things like that. And along the way, he persuades women, and he induces them, and he does all these things, and that is actually really hilarious. The way that the effect that he has on women, and how he pretty much is able to win over every lady that he comes across is super, super funny. And the way that he's able to pretty much adapt and get back to Venice at the end of the film is quite interesting. His journey is quite fun. It's not too hard not to spoil this story at this point. I mean, it's so old, so I'm probably going to give spoilers away throughout this review. So, the real interesting thing about this film is, one, the main performance by, I know his name. What's his name? Oh, Mishunowski. I butchered his name like I always do. You know, he's a pretty famous French actor. He was in a whole bunch of silent films. But he's absolutely fantastic in this movie as Casanova. His facial expressions are extremely, extremely convincing and really, really fantastic. I mean, he's a really, really, really pinnacle piece to why this movie is okay. You know, like I said, it's not an amazing film. Like I said, I feel like it drags and it gets convoluted at some parts, simply because of the fact that everybody looks the same, and by the time that you hit the 140-minute mark, you've seen so many people wearing white wigs that they all start to blend together, and you try to piece together who's who. But luckily, with the amount of settings and cities that he goes to, it's easy to not get everybody confused, because certain people are only in a certain section of the film, and then once he leaves that town or that city, they disappear, and that's it. So it's not too bad. It could be a lot worse in that sense. But the costumes in this movie are really, really fantastic. That's definitely the highlight of this film, is the costumes. I mean, it's just really, really great costume work across the entire film. I mean, really elegant, fantastic, fantastic looking costumes. It really impressed me when I was watching it. That's the one thing that I really did notice when I was watching this. And this movie had released in New York in 1931, if I stand corrected, I think. And they colorized it. You know, they went through, back in the day, they would go through frame by frame, by hand, and, paint over cells of the film to make it in color. So, unfortunately, only one reel of that color negative exists. But luckily, we still have it in this. The rest of the film is your standard silent film. But towards the end of the film, there's a little section, 10 minutes or so, where it's actually in color. And I love those kind of aspects to these silent films. Again, why I love silent cinema is that they had to put time and effort to make this art form. And the fact that somebody had to go hand by hand and paint frame by frame to make this in color is absolutely fantastic. I wish more of that existed, but like I said, unfortunately, only one reel that actually exists, and that is what is in this film. But the restoration is from the original negative, which is quite impressive considering how old the film is. It's quite an old restoration. I think it was done in the early 2000s. Like I think it says at the beginning, like 2006. So it's a little bit of an old scan, but it still looks really, really fantastic. And some of the remaining negatives, you know, it looks rough at some parts in the film, particularly in the beginning, but it is totally watchable, and that's to be expected with films that are this age and this old. You know, you're bound to have some sort of deterioration, and that's the case with this movie. So just a really interesting film. I love French cinema. If you guys follow me for the years that I've been doing this and on the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror, you know that I love French cinema. It's my favorite country, and this film definitely does not disappoint. Once again, they do it on a grand scale. I mean, this film is grand for the time. And like I said, it has some shortcomings, the length especially, but anytime that I could pop in and watch a new silent film, I'm definitely going to do it. So just a really nice package here from Flicker Alley, like they usually do with these deluxe editions that they do. We have a 2-disc set with the Blu-ray and the DVD, and also a booklet that talks about the restoration of the film, the release of the movie back in the day, the story, what the reception was. Just a really nice colored booklet that talks about the whole film. Really nice stuff. I love these kind of booklets. This booklet especially has a lot of information, and these silent films really benefit from having a booklet because, you know, even though there's the internet, there's still a lot of stuff that's hard to research, and if you see the back, that's one of the frames of the colorized sequence towards the end of the film. So I love these booklets. Learned a lot about, like I said, them painting it and the way that it got made and everything like that. So just a really nice release here from Flicker Alley. Bonus features, just a few. We have an interview with the composer. There's a brand new score on this by the San Marco Orchestra. Well, that's another thing. This film's totally shot on location in Venice. They shoot in the canals. It's awesome. I'm just going to say that. The scenes that take place in the canals are really fantastic. Got some, like an image gallery with some promotional stills and things like that. Some of the things that we see in the booklet which I just talked, and subtitles English, French, and Italian. So just a nice addition from Flicker Alley. Like I said in my last review of the silent enemy, they just do the best work with silent films, and they just take care of them, and they do they do them justice. They restore them well, and they do everything they need to make sure that they survive, because they are a really important piece of the art form that you and I love. So that's my review of Casanova. If you guys like this review, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/NESRoy22. Hope everybody's doing well, and I shall talk to you guys soon. See you guys.